Hello viewers and welcome to Newzim TV. I am Makanaka Masenyama. Stories making the headlines. Mnangagwa warns he will use military to crush any attempt to remove his government. In the courts, former cabinet minister Matonga's farming equipment under hammer. In business, retailers defy government directive, insist on US dollar sales. And in sports, Adelaide Musque tipped to shine at Netball World Cup. Now the news in greater detail. President Emmerson Mnangagwa has threatened to use force to stop any illegal attempts to remove him from power by the opposition. Information Secretary Nick Mangwana was reacting to weekend reports that claimed MDC Vice National Chairman Job Sikala had declared that the opposition party was preparing to overthrow Mnangagwa before scheduled elections in 2023. Mangwana, in an interview with NewZimbabwe.com, however, said government was also aware that Sikala's runs could be part of a wider plot by the opposition to force the state into a reaction that will soil government's efforts to re-engage Britain ahead of Foreign Affairs Minister Sibusiso Moyo's meetings with authorities in London this week. Moyo is due to attend the Global Conference for Media Freedom to be held in United Kingdom. Meanwhile, MDC's Secretary for International Relations Gladys Hlachwayo, in an interview with NewZimbabwe.com, said organizers of the conference were right in inviting governments that work against media freedom like Zimbabwe, adding she hoped Moyo will be ready to learn best practices and convince his colleagues in government to implement comprehensive and progressive media reforms in the country. Zimbabwean media has been characterized by polarization, and freedom of expression has been a nightmare for many years. However, Mnangagwa's government has set about taking down the vestiges of former President Robert Mugabe's media laws by breaking up the much vilified Access to Information and Protection of Privacy Act, among others, as part of reforms he promised after taking over 2 years ago. Harare City Council and Power Utility ZESA are currently involved in a fight over $200 million in unpaid rates they owe to each other, NewZimbabwe.com has learned. City Mayor Herbert Gomba told NewZimbabwe.com's Current Affairs program, The Agenda, on Monday that besides the fact that ZESA was operating from its premises without paying anything, the parastatal had stopped paying royalties for the Harare power station, forcibly taken from the local authorities in 1986, for which a huge debt is not outstanding.
We need to move away from the old tradition of getting municipal services, municipal land for free, like what ZESA did. In fact, the city of Harare and the other municipalities should be the biggest shareholders in ZESA on the basis of what was taken away from them. And we are also taking this opportunity to ask ZESA to pay their bills. They are owing the city of Harare in excess of 110 million. And would want to sit over with them for us to do a reconciliation process.
Gomba acknowledged council's debt to the power utility, but maintained that they could not be bullied by ZESA, as it was likely the state power supplier owed it more.
Beauty of our figure as city of Harare is that we are still counting. They stopped paying their royalties almost 25 years ago. And they also have our own, we own most of the buildings that they are working they are using and working from. So our bill is still counting. They say we owe them 143 million. We say we are still counting. And from the looks of things, I think our figure is bigger than that.
ZESA is struggling to supply power across the country amid a massive load shedding program, while Harare is also struggling with water supplies, which Gomba said has been worsened by intermittent power supplies. President Emmerson Mnangagwa's administration is now mirroring predecessor Robert Mugabe's regime by increasingly getting intolerant to dissenting voices and resorting to abductions and torture, as Zimbabwe Peace Project report for the month of June has said. The report released on Monday indicates a 74.4% increase in abductions and intimidation by state security agents, whose brutality the ZPP said had reached scary heights under Mugabe. The reports indicate that cases recorded during the month of June show a 30% increase in violations from the month of May to June, from 157 to 204. Recently, Amalgamated Rural Teachers Union President Obet Masaraure was abducted by suspected state security agents from his house in the presence of his wife, tortured at an unspecified place before being stripped naked and dumped at a secluded area. Government has denied culpability in Masaraure's abduction. In the courts, former Information Deputy Minister Bright Matonga's farm equipment is going under the hammer on Thursday. The sale comes after the former legislator failed to stop a 280,000 default judgment following an application by his former girlfriend, Tombi Zodwa Chota's company, Datas Investment. Matonga's former lover engaged the High Court seeking an order to compel him to appear in person at the American Embassy and give his consent for his son to travel to United States after the former MP refused to go and sign his son's consent papers. The sale will take place at Chigwell Farm, about 10 kilometers from Chegu to town, along the Harare-Bulawayo Highway. In business, retail outlets in Harare still accepting foreign currency payments, especially the United States dollar, in contradiction of the recent government directive that outlawed a 10-year-old multi-currency regime. Business operators told NewZimbabwe.com Business that they need the United States dollar to import groceries from South Africa and other neighboring countries. However, shop owners have now resorted to vetting customers before charging in foreign currency in a bid to avoid arrest by deployed police or other state agents. Confederation of Zimbabwe Retailers President Denford Mutashu warned his sector's players against the malpractice, saying the retail and wholesale sector players should desist from wantonly and deliberately breaking the law for personal aggrandizement and unethical enrichment. Those accepting United States dollar or payments in any foreign currency should stop forthwith, as the long arm of the law will soon catch up them and will either face jail or closure of their businesses. 2 weeks ago, government announced the discontinuation of the multi-currency system and introduced the local currency as sole legal tender for all domestic transactions. We are taking a short break. We will be back soon.
Many people have been asking me how did I manage it, because they could see that everything was there, everything was just happening, things were being paid. So I've told people that it was through Diaspora Funeral Cash Plan. So I would advise everyone to join this Diaspora Funeral Cash Plan. Their policy is good because it took all the weight off my shoulders.
England-based Adelaide Musque has been tipped to play a starring role for the Zimbabwe netball team when they make their debut at the International Netball Federation Netball World Cup, which gets underway in Liverpool on Friday. Goal defender Musque is the twin sister of the 20-year-old Zimbabwe international striker Admiral, who recently featured for the Warriors at the COSAFA Cup tournament in Durban, South Africa, but missed out on the disastrous AFCON campaign. The Gems will be hoping for a positive start on their World Cup debut when they play Sri Lanka in their opening match at the M&S Bank Arena in Liverpool, England on Friday. They are one of 4 African nations competing at the World Cup, the others being South Africa, Malawi and Uganda. Africa has more teams competing in Liverpool than any other international netball federation region. To end this news bulletin, here's a recap of headlines once more. Mnangagwa warns he will use military to crush any attempts to remove his government. In the courts, former cabinet minister Matonga's farming equipment under hammer. In business, retailers defy government directive, insist on US dollar sales. And in sports, Adelaide Musque tipped to shine at Netball World Cup. Reporting for newszimbabwe.com, I am Makanaka Masenyama. For this and more stories, do visit our website www.newszimbabwe.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is NewsMTV.